Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM. This is a show where we sit around and we talk about things that we love, things that inspire us, things that bring beauty, especially in the gaming arena. You can see behind me there's a ton of gaming books. This is what I do. I sit around and I talk about games, give my thoughts on them. We do reviews. We're looking at Soulbound right now. Apologies for starting a little bit late. I got distracted reorganizing my dice. I thought I had already hit go live and was just waiting to transition, and I wasn't. Maybe it was the paint fumes that I've been inhaling. Primed my son's Screamer Killer Tyrannid. So, anyway, we're going to continue our look at Soulbound today. And if you like what we do, please consider following us or subscribing here on Twitch. Jumping over to YouTube, if you're watching that, we're about 5 followers short of hitting 900 people. When we get to 1,000, we're going to give away a large stack of Fading Suns books from Ulysses Spiel. And, or if you want, consider joining our patronage at patreon.com/iconic production. You get access to our Discord server and a ton of cool early release previews. But here we are, we're going to be talking about Soulbound. Continuing our talk today, we're actually going to be talking about the setting. Now, I gave a little bit of an overview of it, but essentially, Soulbound is a high fantasy, very super heroic role-playing game set in the Mortal Realms. The Mortal Realms are essentially, depending on how you count it, 8 to 10 planes of existence. They're all connected at 8 points, which I consider a realm. You have the 8 realms, which used to be the winds of magic in the old world. And then you have, the realm of chaos lying beneath, beyond, around, coterminous with the mortal realms. And so we're going to get a little bit more into the setting today. Now, the main setting of Soulbound, at least as it released, is this. This is the Great Parch, a part of the plane of fire, which is known as Akshi. Akshi was one of the winds of magic. It was the fire mages. Here is the Great Parch. It's a wonderful map. There's a lot on here that if you only stayed in the Great Parch, you would have a campaign setting well developed and well able to be explored for years. Also, just hats off to Cubicle 7. This map is gorgeous. So, the Great Parch, again, Akshi, the plane of fire, you'll notice a lot of different city symbols. If you're looking on the map, along the bottom you see the emblems of the cities, and you can find those on the map. And at this point, they've really detailed 2 of the cities of Sigmar. Now, these cities of Sigmar are really important because essentially each one is built around a realm gate. So when Sigmar left Azir, the realm of the heavens, with his Stormcast Eternals, warriors that he had forged from the souls and the essences of heroes in his realm. And we talk about Stormcast Eternals when we get to kind of the mechanics and the characters next week. But essentially, you can't die if you play a Stormcast Eternal. You go away for a while you're reforged. You may have to bring another character in, depending on the timing of the adventure and how long it takes to reforge. And you come back a little different. A little bit more of your humanity lost. It's interesting to me as I'm reading this and I'm looking at Wrath and Glory for our 40K series, as well as listening to a lot of 40K lore with my son as we assemble and build miniatures. There seems to be a reoccurring theme in the fact that the person who is the driving force of civilization has some great plan and rushes it. There's some timer that we're not aware of and rushes his plan and ends up with a flawed tool for implementing this plan, which starts off well and then sort of problems start to develop down the line. So Sigmar rushed the forging of the Stormcast Eternals, so they have this flaw where every time they come back a little bit more distant. They forget a little bit about who they are. They're a little bit more removed from humanity. And if you are familiar with the 40K universe, this happens with the Emperor and the Primarchs and the Space Marine Legions. Flaws in the gene seed, which could have been weeded out, given more time, are accepted as an acceptable consequence of going forward with the plan as quickly as possible. Warnings to us? Maybe. Flaws of human nature? Definitely. So there are, each of these cities of Sigmar, are initially conquered by Stormcast Eternals. They come bursting through the realm gate and they establish a foothold. As these footholds grow, humans, elves, Spriggan, Sylvaneth, not Spriggan, I'm thinking myth, Sylvaneth, dwarves, they all start to congregate around these fortified realm gates, and as they expand out, they become the cities of Sigmar. This is where characters live, where they shelter, where they take downtime. Now, there will be spoilers, and I'll give you a marker where spoilers are going to appear when we talk about Anvilgard. But we're going to start with Brightspear. Brightspear, because if you buy the starter set, which is where I would recommend starting, we'll talk a little bit more about this on Tuesday, comes with the Guide to Brightspear. It is a 63-page book just on the city of Brightspear. Comes with an adventure set in Brightspear. Brightspear doesn't seem to have a realm gate, and that's kind of the focus of the adventure. It is one of the cities that has been reclaimed from an ancient human empire that existed here. And that's one thing to remember about the Age of Sigmar. Even though it's only been out for a couple of years, in-world history stretches back millennia. The old world is destroyed. Sigmar's flying around till he finds Aesir again. Meanwhile, there are empires and kingdoms that rise and fall and battle chaos and battle each other on the plains until Sigmar arrives during the Age of Myth. Then that all goes to hell because of chaos, and Sigmar retreats back into Aesir to forge his Stormcast Eternals. Meanwhile, more time is passing, and now we're seeing this second great crusade, to steal a word from 40k, out into the Eight Realms as Sigmar once again tries and establishes order and drive back chaos. Oh yeah, Padre, there are a lot of great little touchstones back to the old world that I love in the Age of Sigmar. They don't detract. Little aside, I think Easter eggs are great. I think Easter eggs are wonderful if they give a wink and a nod to the people in the know, but don't distract from the story that is being presented. If all you have are Easter eggs, then it's not fun for us who kind of know them because we're not getting anything new, and it's very confusing and frustrating for people coming new to a series. I think Games Workshop and Cubicle 7 have a really great balance on how they do their Easter egging in this setting. Morning, Rook. And good morning to Padre and Grom and Tink and Rook. Good to see you all. So, Brightspear is one of these cities. It was one of the ancient empires of humanity, part of a magocracy that was in this area. And the center of Brightspear has this wonderfully great orrery of the Eight Realms that exists. And it's a fun city to explore. There are multiple levels, the rich on the upper tiers, the poor underneath, kind of shadowed by the upper city. There are numerous factions to explore in these little 68 pages, as well as this feeling of high fantasy, right? High fantasy, going back to our video, which I'll link in a card over here, has magic just oozing out of every pore of the setting. A giant orrery that kind of overshadows the city with airships flying back and forth and trading with other realms. The waters, the essence of other realms is the actual currency in the game Soulbound. You take the essence of the realm and that's what you use to buy gear. If you drink it, you know, drinking the water of life kind of revitalizes you. It's every pore, Rook. Every single pore. It's like me when I eat a lot of garlic. It just comes oozing out of every single pore. Now, they've expanded on the Great Parch. Most of the additional information centers around Anvilgard, which is up near is in the north, in the center, near the Searing Sea. Now, this is where spoilers are going to start, so if you don't want spoilers for what happens in Anvilgard or the Seasons of the Mist adventure, this is the time to skip ahead to the end. Or go watch one of the other great videos in the behind the screen playlist. So Seasons of Mist is an adventure that they put out, and it has about 50 or 60 page entry into Anvilgard. What's interesting about Anvilgard is it sits right on the edge of this forest and jungle that is so overwhelming with life that it just, you can watch the trees and the plants grow voraciously. So they have to spray with these defoliant cannons to keep the growth back from the city and to keep the city safe. Well, the problem is that gives this fog over the city that like robs everything of its taste and slowly bleaches colors out of the city. And yes, Padre, I agree. Seasons of the Mist, I just finished it last night. Great adventure. Can't wait to get it to my table. In it, you go after a artifact from the Age of Myth. Sigmar, when he found things he couldn't control or didn't understand or deemed too dangerous, locked artifacts in things called storm vaults. And they are protected by multiple puzzles and traps and guardians, and then an artifact or a machine which erases memory of the storm vault from everyone, including Sigmar. And due to recent events, one of these is uncovered. There's a great plot by Nurgle, who probably really enjoys the fecund life of the jungle, wanting to see just life continually grow till it rots and the new life comes from it. And your heroes are caught up in this plot to allow Nurgle access and control to Anvilgard. And as Padre alluded to, once you finish the adventure of Anvilgard, that's not the end of the story. Because there is a faction in there, the Black Coil Society, and they work for what are essentially the Dark Elves. And they give you some adventure seeds and ideas because in the Age of Sigmar lore, Anvilgard falls to the Dark Elves, an alliance of Dark Elves and the Idoneth Deepkin, these deep sea elves. I don't have a lot of Age of Sigmar minis. After I finish my 40k and my Conquest minis, I'll start painting my Age of Sigmar minis. But it's Idoneth Deepkin because who doesn't want Cthulian elves riding on the back of sea creatures? It just is, you know, amazing. So Anvilgard falls to the Dark Elves because, and her name escapes me, but she basically becomes an avatar of Cain, the elven god of murder, and becomes a goddess, a new goddess in the 8 realms. So, Rook is saying that if you much watch another video, I suggest starting from the beginning of the channel. Man, the Fading Sun's actual play, Rook, man, that was lightning in a bottle. It is one of the best campaigns I've ever run. And I agree with Rook. If you haven't seen it, it's totally worth it. Just know it's a tearjerker throughout the entire run. Rook, they're amazing. I will send pictures. I'll post pictures of the minis as I prime and paint them on the iconic Discord channel. I may have to make a Tiny Figures sub-channel so that we can all post our Tiny Figures as we kind of go through it. Yeah, it did tick off Teclis in the process, Padre. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that the Age of Myth kind of falls apart in the Pantheon of Orders, because all of the gods come together to accomplish this great task, and essentially they all fall apart for very human reasons. It would be like if the Greek gods went on very much longer, and all of their little petty intrigues and desires that ran counter to others broke apart, fell apart, and the pantheon went to war. See, now that would be a cool story to tell. The destruction of the Greek pantheon as they fall in to infighting among themselves. Padre, I appreciate that. Yeah, the Fading Suns campaign was something special. And so, speaking of, when we get to 1,000 subs on the YouTube channel, we're going to give away a complete set of the first Kickstarter books from Fading Suns. So you'll get the campaign book, the setting book, the rules, the 3 small faction books, and a GM pack. We'll package it up, we'll bundle it all out, and send it to one of our lucky viewers. So that's the setting of Soulbound. And here's the thing, they're not done. They've got a Era of the Beast is coming out, where you're going to be looking at a completely different one of the different 8 realms, the realm of beasts, which I can't wait for. And further out, I don't think this is coming out till next year, but they're going to do another city book. This one focused on a city controlled by vampires. It's the setting of the Warhammer board game, The Cursed City, which is just amazing. Oh man, Teclis's freeing of the elves. So at the end of the old world, all of the elves are eaten by Slaanesh, who, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Warhammer or Warhammer 40k, has a deep and abiding hunger for elf souls. Teclis and his brother survive and eventually meet up with Sigmar, and they hatch this plan. And they go into the realms of chaos, down to the bottom where an engorged Slaanesh barely can move for having been glutted on all of these elven souls. And they chain Slaanesh and rip open their belly and start freeing their souls. It doesn't go well at first. The Idoneth Deepkin are horribly traumatized, and some of them can't hold on to their souls. So they flee Teclis and his brother and head to the deepest part of the oceans, and now rise to the surface to extract soul tithes so that they can keep they can live on, because their souls are damaged or weaker than they should be. Their caste system is based off whether you have a full soul or the half soul. Then you have he tries again and gets the Lumiath, which are, they seem perfect but they're really arrogant, and elves, and that arrogance leads to their downfall, and they're forced to bind with the elementals of their plane. And also just really cool figures. I was looking at the 2 of them, and I love the Lumiath, but I want an Idoneth sorcerer riding on a sea turtle that flies above the battlefield. Like, give me sharks with ballista mounted on their backs. All I want, Rook, is sharks, friggin' sharks, with friggin' ballista mounted over their noses. That's all I want out of a game. So that's our look at the settings for Soulbound. And again, you can play in Brightsphere and Akshi and the Great Parch, or you can go anywhere you want. The 8 realms are large. I love the idea of storming 8 points and trying to take that back. They sealed it so that Chaos couldn't get access to it, but everyone wants a piece of that. We didn't even talk about some of the other just epic storylines and plot hooks in Soulbound and Age of Sigmar. The fact that the 2 dwarven gods, Sigmar frees them, and one goes to help him craft the Stormcast Eternals. Eventually, feeling abandoned, some of the dwarves become these Skylords with their airships and traders, and the other said, hey, give me a task, and once I finish this task, we're even. And so Sigmar sends him after this great magma beast, the mother of all salamanders. And in killing the salamander, this volcano erupts and kills the dwarven god of slayers, whose essence is now infused with gold. And so fire slayers go out to find the Urgold that possesses the soul of their god, either to resurrect him or to imbue their own bodies with a bit of his power. Or the Necroquake, where Nagash abandons the pantheon of order, and over thousands of years has hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of servants giving, bringing grains of the essence of the realm of death, and he makes this giant pyramid to try to capture all of the souls in all of the 8 realms. And it fails because, well, Skaven chewed through the wires, essentially. Sort of like the rat in Endgame. And the Necroquake strikes throughout the 8 realms, and a bunch of souls become raised from the dead or become ghosts. And yeah, there's just so much there to dig into. The Champions of Death book allows you to just play as one of the dead. Either a spirit that has been bound to Nagash for its crime, the Flesh Court Ghouls, which we talked about last time, the Ossiok Bone Reapers, which are essentially Nagash's attempt to create Stormcast Eternals. He fuses the bones of dead heroes and raises them as sort of like undead, ossified automata. Or you can just play as, vampires or wights or skeletons. There's something here for everyone. Now I will admit, coming from the old world, it is a shock. Because the old world is grim and gritty and low fantasy. And oops, I tripped and lost a limb. The ever-present threat of chaos seems too much. And it is too much. The idea is that the old world falls to chaos, that your best achievements kick the can down the road. Another year, maybe 2, maybe for your lifetime. But the end times are coming. It's 5 minutes to midnight. Age of Sigmar, you're battling greater demons out of the gate. Because you know what? You're the big damn heroes of the setting. Ain't you just? So, we'll finish our review of our look at Soulbound next week on Tuesday. We're going to look at the mechanics. And it'll be a good segue to go from the mechanics of Soulbound into the mechanics of Wrath and Glory. I am reading through furiously my Wrath and Glory stuff to prepare for our chat next week. But I'm looking forward to talking about the mechanics of Soulbound with you all next week, and talking about why I think Cubicle 7 puts out the best box sets in the industry right now, and why you should go out and get the Soulbound box set if you're at all interested in this. Thanks for the recommendation, Padre. I may actually check out Underworlds after I finish painting up 30 or so Deathwatch Marines. So, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. Please check out all the other great stuff we have going on the Iconic channel. Head over to our YouTube channel where you can find Iconic Production, or head over to our Patreon. Patreon members get access to our Discord, they get access to videos every month, and they get access to our podcast a couple of weeks before they go live. Also, when we take votes, we do votes on social media, but we also do votes on the Discord server, and those votes are weighted a little bit heavier. So thanks, everyone. Until next time, have a good one.